Here. I'm Kristen, and it's a little bit after 4 o'clock while I was kind of readjusting to some new tech issues. But here's a little after 4 o'clock, and every day on Monday we get together here to talk about some things that can essentially help us to be a better version of ourselves. I've been calling this time together Live, Love, Parent, Lead, because when we are living our best lives and when we show up and are working towards becoming the best version of ourselves, then we can better serve those around us that we love, that we parent, and that we lead. And that's what this time here is for. I'm going to check in on the comments and see how we're doing here. If we have any, we're good. I think we're all good. All right. So I'm just going to keep going. So if you're catching this recorded, then just hang tight. We'll get through some tech issues together. So what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about what are some possible things that you're waiting on. In fact, more specifically, what's your comeback story? Here in Dallas, we are in week 10, and there's a lot of the lift is starting to happen. There's a lot more people out and about. There's a lot more restaurants being open, even in different ranges of capacity. And now my phone is telling me that I have low battery, so it's just going to have to run quick today. That's all right. It's good. It puts me in a new zone of thinking and learning. So what's your comeback story? What's your plan? That's something that if you were with me on the Parent Power Hour portion of NuMinds Enrichment live videos for the first 7 weeks, we talked a lot about what are our plans? How do we plan to navigate what we're currently experiencing? And how do we also, the last 4 weeks of our time there on Parent Power Hour was to talk about what are our plans for when the lift happens. Well, it's starting to happen, at least here in Dallas. And I understand that in certain parts of the world it happened and then it's gone back to being on lockdown or whatever your phase is. And whether or not this is pandemic time or not, maybe you're listening to this recorded 5 years from now and things are back to normal, okay? It still has an impact on how are you planning to come back from things. What's your comeback story? When you go through a crisis, when you go through something that's challenging to you and to the core of your beliefs and who you are, how do you recover from that? How are you a different person? Because that's what crisis does and that's what challenge does. It changes us. Whether you're talking about learning a new skill, being challenged by picking up the ukulele for the first time. I have a 13-year-old niece, or she's 14 now. She's 13. I have a 13-year-old niece, and I got a video yesterday of her playing ukulele to a pop song. She's never picked up a ukulele before, and she did a little recording. I think it was 3 days. She went through some challenges of learning something new, and that growth happened. There was some change happened. And that's not necessarily a crisis, but it's a challenge. And what a crisis is something that challenges the normal, right? Something that shakes it up, something that comes along and everything halts. And whether that crisis is a global crisis or a personal crisis, it could be a challenge to the core of something of who you are. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe your family is not sure about what the next step is financially. There are all kinds of levels of crisis here that we're talking about. And whenever you go through a challenge, a change, a crisis, you come out on the other end of it different. And whether you are different in a positive way or different in a way that you don't recognize yourself anymore, that's up to you. Because that means that you've navigated that change, you've navigated that crisis in a way that still stays in alignment with who you are and what's important to you and your core beliefs and what you see as you reaching your full potential. And whether that means in your parenting, in your job as you go back, if you're going back to work. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this today, because while we are sort of a light version of going back here in Dallas, and yes, I'm here at the NuMinds headquarters in the North Dallas area. It's just me here, but I know that there's a lot of people that are starting to be asked to go back into their physical offices full time. And that's already another level of I don't know how this is going to go. Another level of what ifs, right? And I mean just beyond the masks and no masks and hand sanitizer, no hand sanitizer. It's another challenge. It's another layer of this. And so you start spinning on all of these what ifs, right? Well, what if my partner, who I've been working on this project with virtually, isn't interested in coming back, or has a life situation where they have to stay home and take care of their children, and then I have to come into the office, and then we're kind of back on this like missing each other. Whoa, you start to spill again and start to spiral and spin. And when that spiral starts to happen, that's a signal to you that those are some negative thoughts. Because anytime you start a question with what if, whatever follows that, that's going to be negative. And a lot of times that's based off of past disappointments. Negative interpretations of or worries about the future and what ifs almost are always aligned with some past doubt, some past failure, some past area where you've ended up denying something of yourself or of others around you. And when you start to fill in what if and you fill in that blank, that always has something to do with the past. Your worries about what if in the future are informed by past failures, past disappointments, past moments of fear that you've experienced. And while negative thoughts aren't going to be the thing that helps us to be the best version of ourselves or helps us to move forward to those things that we have been waiting on, it can be an ally. It's not going to be the thing that helps us get there. That negative thought isn't going to be like, all right, I'm going to tackle this negative thought and I'm going to go. You can tackle it in a way as long as you are letting it be a signal to you or a trigger that you need to reframe and have a new thought habit. Whenever we have those negative spirals and filling in the blanks on what ifs, that's a trigger to you that you're starting to spiral into something, and that can be retrained. You can retrain your brain to let that be a moment to recognize, wait a minute, I'm starting to spiral here. I need to have a new thought habit around this because I keep spinning in this. And that's one of the benefits, or what I personally see has happened in my life, as well as the lives of those that are sharing with us here during this time as we go live once a week, and close friends and people that I mentor and have conversations with, is that we're redefining what is important. We've spent 10 weeks here in Dallas. You've spent longer if you're on the other side of the world. Other people are starting in different phases to lift back and stay in. And what's happened during this time is that it's really causing you to pause, evaluate what actually is important to our family. Besides the normal survival, toilet paper, and all that mess, what actually is important? And at this moment in time has allowed us that opportunity to redefine it. I am not saying that I want to ever go through this sort of global crisis again, but what I am saying is that I am so grateful that as a whole, we've had to stop. And that's exactly what I started with saying, is that that's what a crisis is. It challenges the everyday norm. It throws in a wrench into the things that you thought you were just going to be in motion with. And so here you were in your motion, and you were running around and doing all the things that you needed to do, and that was causing the question. And here you are again. You're starting to go back into another level, whatever level of the lift that you're at. And now you have the opportunity to be intentional about how your time is spent. How is your schedule when you go back to normal, whatever that means? And I will continue to use air quotes because there is no normal anymore, right? How's your schedule going to reflect your newly refined and defined level of importance, things that are important in your life? Is your new schedule still going to show, if we opened up your calendar, is it still going to show that you're running around your kids from soccer to piano lessons to this to that to this to that? Is it still going to show that you've got 19 meetings booked in one day and no time for yourself to sit down even for lunch? Is it still going to show that you don't have a 30-minute workout put in your schedule on purpose? Is it going to show that you're just, if I open up to 3 months from now, is your schedule just going to be this meeting, this event? Or is it also going to say Sunday evening, meal prep for the family, Tuesday night, family dinner, we make pizza together? What are some of these new routines that you now have because of this time, and how is your schedule in the future going to reflect that? Because that When you start to intentionally arrange your life and your schedule starts to reflect what is important to you, then that's where you start to set yourself up for not having any more excuses of saying things like, well, when the lift happens, then I'll start my healthy eating plan. When the kids go back to school, then I'll work on myself. When I'm back in my work routine and I have my daily commute again, then I'll listen to that podcast about learning about that thing that I know is going to be better for my family, or that's going to help me to scale up as a leader and lead my team. Because what you're doing there, when you start putting a timestamp on things that are important to you and you don't do them yet, you're always saying, well, when I have the perfect house, then I'll buy the nice furniture. When I, when I have all the money, when I'm in the perfect relationship, when my kids are doing this in school, when I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I mean, we could go on and on about how I'll wait until I have that new house to do that thing. I'm going to wait until I have that new job to go and read that book. I'm going to wait until my boss approves of me in this way, and then I'll go take on that new project. Or, well, I'll wait until she says yes, and then we'll have the kind of conversation in our relationship that we need to have. Because what ends up happening there is that you keep delaying. And when you start to delay those kinds of conversations and focus on having the things and the goals that you want to have, then you start to doubt whether or not they're actually yours and whether or not they're actually important. And when you start to delay those things and say, well, later I'll get to X, Y, and Z, or I'll do that when, you start to delay those goals further and further. And when you start to delay, then you begin to add doubt. And when you have doubt and delay together, that creates an even greater divide from what is truly important to you and your core of who you are and your actual reality. And I'm not going to let that happen to you, you guys. I'm not going to let that happen. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm having this conversation with you right now. And if you're tuning in, it's because you know that there's something else that you have deep within inside of you that you want to get on. You want to get on it. You want to get on it today. But you've been in the habit of saying later, or when this perfect scenario happens, then I will do that. And you're getting in that greater divide. And what that does actually is, and this is what I heard yesterday or over the weekend actually on a podcast I consume regularly. But yesterday I was like, that's it. That is one of the big things that I'm hearing right now. And I had to share it with you guys, is that when we aren't when we aren't staying focused on those things that are important to us and we're delaying them, when we say when X, Y, and Z, when I have that house, then I'll do that, and we start delaying, that leads to restlessness. And restlessness compounds. All of those things that you said that you want to do or that you're gonna do, those things begin to compound. And when they compound up on top of each other, that leads to eroding of self-trust. So think about it. The last time you didn't do what you said you were going to do, I bet you could pinpoint it. I bet 2 weeks ago you said, you know what, this is the week. I'm going to get on my healthy eating train. I'm going to eat 5 fruits a day, and I'm not going to have any carbs, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to drink that, and I'm going to work out this. And Monday rolls around, and you got stressed out at that meeting. That didn't go the way that you thought it was going to go. You didn't have a break for lunch anyway because you had meetings stacked on top of each other. Then when it was time for a break for dinner, you went down and the kids were a mess. And then by the end of the day, you're like, there's no way I'm working out and I need to relax. Bottle of wine, glug, 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 brownies and cookies, chocolate chips and potato chips and whatever. Then you're less than 24 hours in and you've just disappointed yourself again, right? And what's happened there is that you've started to compound that brain training of, I can't trust you, Kristen. Your brain talks to itself. Because your brain says, wait a minute. it knows you're not, it knows that you're not having that difficult conversation with your spouse, or it knows that you're not doing that new thing that you wanted to do. And you're not working on getting healthy right now, and you're not going to ask your boss for that thing that you need, and you're not going to apply for that new job. And so then your brain knows that you're there again. And what it does is it knows that you're not doing that because you're afraid, or because you're mad at yourself that you didn't do it last time. And when that starts to happen, then that's where that lack of self-trust continues. So here we are. You've just gotten yourself into a corner of not trusting yourself anymore. And the big disconnect between self-trust and self-distrust is that's that line on your comeback story. It's where your brain's saying, I know what it is. I know the thing I need to do, and I know it's the right thing, but I'm going to wait until blah, blah, blah. And then it becomes all about the wrong things. Then you're focused on, how do I get myself back in positivity? And you got to go and do that work again. Because the longer you wait, the more hurtful it is to you, and the more restructuring and retraining you have to do. And everybody has this. Everybody does. Not just the people that are losing their jobs, not just the people that are having, health challenges in their families, not just the people that are figuring out how to do schooling at home, but even big name people that are sitting back on a beach somewhere because they got where they needed to go, and they still have butler services, and they still have all access to every convenience of life. Those people are still having things also that they aren't doing because they're being held back. Because they're saying, well, once I get off this beach and I go back home to my normal life, then I'm going to, right? High performers, CEOs of companies, you name it. Everybody has this experience. And it's at different levels, of course. But what it is that we're waiting on things, and we're saying, later I'm going to do that. You're waiting for this perfect situation that's never going to happen. And so my question for you is, are you waiting to be your best self? Are you delaying things so much that you're training your brain to be disconnected from that core of who you want to be, and who you are, and your full potential of who you can be? And you're getting further and further away from that, to the point where you even start to say, that's not my dream. I don't even know what I was thinking. That's not who I really want to be. That's not the thing I actually want to go after. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't actually want to go and make a change in people's lives. You start to doubt it. You start to doubt that thing that was inside of you that led you to having that dream was even yours, or even yours real in the first place. So what do? You don't doubt. You don't delay. You don't divide. Because when you start to doubt and delay, that creates that divide. Instead, you go forward with confidence, and you take action, and you stay connected to it. Because what I want you to know right here and right now is that the story isn't over. It's not over. Wherever you're at in your journey, it's not over. And spoiler alert, it's never over. We don't ever get to the end of the goal until death. Because then it's over. Then I don't have to explain that part. You guys know that part. But you're always, their story is always continuing. You always have an opportunity, and there's always a way to retell your story, to start a new chapter, to turn a new page. And there's always a moment when you get to decide what your story is. And what I hope for you is that you don't deny the story, but instead you defy the ending. That you take this ending that you've started to create because you're like, well, that's it. This is what's the reality of the world now. I can't do this. I can't do that. My kids can't do this. My kids can't do that. I'm not going to be able to go after that job. I'm not going to be able to have that relationship. I'm not for sure not going to have. I was trying not to cuss, everybody, because I know people get on here and they're like, I am not having that conversation with that person that I'm in a relationship because it is too hard, and everything's hard already. And then, and there you've just made up a new ending. And it's not over yet. Defy the ending. Defy it. Get to a place where you know that, and how do you get to that place? And I know you're like, Kristen, great. I'm going to get to that place. Awesome. How? Here's how. Confidence, action, connect. Every day, confidence. I have this in my mind, and that's true to who I am. You have the dreams and the hopes and the visions for yourself and your family and your business and your life and the people that you love and the people that you lead on your teams and your companies. You have that vision for a reason, because it's yours, because that is unique to you. And keep that at the forefront of your mind. Stay confident in that. Know that it's yours. If you forget about it, just send me a message and I'll be like, you got this. You got this. It's yours. You were here and put here on this earth and in this universe to live out your purpose. Whether you're a spiritual being or not, you're still living and breathing at this moment, and you're living and breathing because of something, because you have something to give back to the rest of us. I can't wait to see what you're going to give back. I can't wait to see how many new amazing creations and inventions and books and family rituals and jobs and habits that are created and that you end up with when we are on the other side of this crisis. Because again, it's not over. It doesn't ever end. Because when this crisis is over, another one's going to happen. Because a crisis, not this level, knock on wood, right? I don't think that's wood. That's an IKEA table. That's not real wood. You get what I'm saying, all right? If you're not sure, go back a few minutes and you'll see what I'm talking about the goal being that there is no ending to a goal. You just get new goals. You get onto that new train, and you don't deny the story, because really what a goal is, it's not about arriving at that goal, but it's about who you become on the way to achieving that goal. When I heard that for the first time, I was like, that helps me break free of all of my perfectionism. Oh, now it doesn't matter how long it takes me, or it doesn't matter how the path that I get there on, as long as it's my path, as long as it's who I become on the way to that path. And I hope that you're able to let go also of all of those things of the timeline that you thought that you needed to have. That's a completely different story, so I'm not going to go there right now. But stay confident, stay connected to your purpose, take action daily, let your actions be reflected in your schedule. If 3 months from now I opened up your Google Calendar and I saw, 20-minute workouts, 30-minute gratitude practice, 15-minute breakfast with the kids, 20-minute drive to school, then I would see, wow, family, personal desire and personal growth. Focus and connect on becoming a better version of yourself. Stay true to your story. Don't deny your story. Is this going to show up? Yeah, it's going to show up opposite on these days. Man, this is what I get for going on my phone on Facebook Live, but you guys got a clearer picture. So it says, don't deny the story, defy the ending. That's what the top part says. And then the bottom part says, confidence, action, connects. Oh, you could almost see it. Yes, there it is. Don't deny the story, defy the ending. Confidence, action, connects. Okay, you guys. Thanks for hanging in here again today. Wow, that was really interesting with all of our back and forth on some tech issues that we had here. If you like what you heard, please smash that thumbs up like button right now. Give me a heart. Give me a thumbs up. Pop up in the comments below if you're watching this recorded, and let me know, what's your comeback story? Are you waiting to be your best self? If you're not, and you're in this and you're going to practice, which one of these do you think that you might need more practice in? Is it doubt or is it delay? Because the doubt and delay are what creates that divide, right? So what are you going to tackle off first? Are you going to tackle building that confidence, or are you going to tackle taking action? That's what I want to know. Let me know in your comments there below. And as always, here on NuMinds Enrichment, we are here for you all, knowing that we are all navigating every crisis, daily crises, and challenges, that we face on all different levels. And whether that's a challenge in learning something new, whether that's a challenge on going more towards your personal goals and the vision that you have in your life, or if it's a greater challenge of something that's affecting all of us, please know that we're here for you. My personal hope for you is that you defy your ending, that you start to live into the most full version of yourself and who you can be. We're all about real, inspired learning here. Follow your passions until they become your talent, and I'll see you next week. Stay tuned. Later on, we're going to have Justin show up on Wednesday and Ben show up on Friday. Man, there's been some awesome content for you guys, for you adults that show up here. And you probably already know this, but just in case, we do have our kids programs still going on over on NuMinds.tv. You can always find all of our kids episodes over there. What we found is that, most parents aren't really cool with their kids hanging out on Facebook, right? It's a little bit less of a, safe place for kids. So we have all of our kindergarten through 8th grade content over on YouTube, and everything that shows up there also shows up on NuMinds.tv. So go over to NuMinds.tv, let your kids have some fun. There's some really silly stuff going on over there with some funny computer games, and I'm not going to promote that too much because I heavily embarrassed myself playing a computer game, which isn't anything I've done since 1980, 90 something. Anyway, all right, guys, hope you have a great rest of the week. Stay true to your heart. Stay true to who you are. Don't doubt, don't delay, and you won't have that divide. Bye, guys. See you next time.